Thanks for joining us for CBN News Today. I'm Ephraim Graham. The siege at the shopping mall in Kenya has gone into day 4. Authorities say all of the hostages have been secured, but the militants claim they still hold a few. Meanwhile, new information is coming out about those behind the attack, including claims by Kenyan officials that several Americans were among them. It is day 4 of the bloody standoff in Kenya. Authorities say at least 62 people are confirmed dead and 175 are wounded. Witnesses say the gunmen separated non-Muslims from Muslims by ordering them to recite the Shahada, the Muslim profession of faith.
I took the blood that I was covered with, I rubbed it on my face so that when they came there, they see like I'm dead.
Kenyan officials say they've arrested at least 10 people for questioning. Monday, Kenya's foreign minister said several Americans were among the attackers. U.S. officials are looking into that claim, but they say Al-Shabaab is known to be one of the most effective terror groups in attracting young American men.
I think it certainly is surprising anytime you find out Middle America has become a hotbed for terrorist recruiting.
There are believed to be about 50 American recruits so far. More than half of them traced back to Minneapolis and St. Paul. Last month, Al-Shabaab posted this online recruiting video with this young American who has since been killed.
If you guys only knew how much fun we have over here, this is the real Disneyland.
CBN News spoke with DeWitt Gorgas, a visiting fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. He says America has a responsibility to help Kenya in its fight against Al-Shabaab.
It must be a global response, a response coordinated by the United States and the West, because Kenya doesn't have that kind of capacity.
The president offered his condolences to Kenya's president Monday. He also promised U.S. support in bringing the attackers to justice. Meanwhile, the 3 men facing federal terrorism charges in New York City have strong ties to Al-Shabaab. Only 3 days before the Kenyan mall attack, prosecutors wrote in a letter that the 3 were part of an elite unit of suicide bombers who sought to carry out attacks against U.S. and Western interests in East Africa. President Obama addresses the 68th session of the United Nations today, but beyond the morning speech, observers are watching for signs of a meeting with Iran's new president. Hassan Rouhani has been making friendly gestures toward the U.S. in recent weeks, and some suggest it's an opportunity to build on diplomacy. But Israel is warning world leaders to be cautious.
The attempt of Iran to cheat the world, to smile to the world by Rouhani, and meanwhile to develop fissile material with the centrifuges and to develop nuclear weapons.
Iran's foreign minister is set to meet with 6 nations, including the U.S. They'll be looking for ways to rein in the Iranian nuclear program. Meanwhile, President Obama is also calling on the UN Security Council to approve a resolution mandating consequences for Syria if it fails to cooperate with a plan to turn over its chemical weapons stockpiles. The wife of American pastor imprisoned in Iran came face to face with that country's president Monday, asking for her husband's release. The Iranian delegation happens to be staying in the very same New York hotel as Naghmeh Abedini. Her husband, Pastor Saeed, is jailed for his Christian faith in Iran's notorious Evin prison. During a chance encounter in the hotel lobby, Naghmeh approached President Rouhani seeking the release of Pastor Saeed. She also gave a member of Rouhani's group a letter written by the pastor pleading for his own release. The man said he would deliver it to the Iranian president. This coming Thursday marks the 1-year anniversary of Pastor Saeed's imprisonment. A special prayer vigil is being held to mark the day. For more information, log on to our website, cbnnews.com. Iran has denied a pardon to another imprisoned pastor. The regime released 11 prisoners of conscience from prison last week. According to Present Truth Ministry, the family of Pastor Behnam Irani asked the judge to pardon him as well. The judge refused and said Pastor Behnam has to serve the remainder of his 6-year sentence. Pastor Irani has already served more than 2 years. The judge said the only way Irani would be released early is if he repents and returns to Islam. Here at home, the IRS official at the center of the agency's Tea Party scandal has resigned. Lois Lerner admitted the agency targeted Tea Party groups for special scrutiny on their tax-exempt applications in 2010 and 2012. Her retirement comes as a panel was set to decide on whether she should be fired. The board found, quote, neglect of duty and mismanagement during her tenure over the past of the IRS tax-exempt division. The American Center for Law and Justice represents 41 conservative groups suing the IRS. Chief Counsel Jay Sekulow said allowing Lerner to retire with benefits is a bad sign. He said, quote, her retirement along with her continued compensation is deeply disturbing and sends the wrong message about accountability. A federal court ruled against a Catholic business in Michigan and in favor of Obamacare's contraception mandate. It ruled the Autocom Corporation, which is a family-owned business, must comply with the mandate that requires companies to pay for contraception and abortion procedures. John Kennedy, one of the owners, said the mandate violates their convictions, but the judge said the mandate does not violate the Religious Freedom Act or the family's convictions. The Kennedys said they will not give up their fight to defend their faith. Meanwhile, 4 Christian universities in Oklahoma have filed suit against the HHS mandate. Southern Nazarene University, Oklahoma Wesleyan University, Oklahoma Baptist University, and Mid-America Christian University are represented by the Alliance Defending Freedom. Oklahoma Wesleyan cited its commitment to protecting the unborn in a statement declaring its reasons for challenging the mandate. The school said, quote, we are filing suit because we believe God is not the government and that we must obey God rather than men. American public education certainly has its problems. Experts, parents, teachers, and even kids can agree on many of those problems. But what about some solutions? Former presidential candidate Ron Paul has written about his plan: transfer the authority over education back to the parents.
While your neighborhood school may be thriving, there's grave concern about American public education as a whole. ACT, the college testing organization, recently found that less than 1/4 of U.S. high school students meet college-ready standards in their core subjects. An international assessment found U.S. 15-year-olds rank 17th in science and 25th in math compared to other industrialized countries. And the Council on Foreign Relations has warned that such failure puts the United States' future economic prosperity, global position, and physical safety at risk. Enter former presidential candidate, congressman, and New York Times bestseller Ron Paul out with a new book, The School Revolution. Paul's prescription for our schools: transfer authority back to parents, support homeschooling, and apply free market principles to the education system.
I don't think there's going to be a top-down reform. I don't think you can go to Washington and, tinker around with No Child Left Behind and you and I get the right to textbooks and all these kind of things that reforming the system. I sort of say, well, that's going to have to resolve itself, but I want people to have the right to opt out of the system. And I'm sure you remember in the 1980s, the big fights on whether we were even allowed to do it. But the principle is set. I'm afraid someday they might attack it again, but just allow some people to get out and get their education. And my proposal is to, contribute to the homeschooling movement, which proves that they can overcome all these obstacles. But I think basically the thrust has to be so basic, and that is, what should the role of government be? And I think our school systems for more than 150 years has gradually accepted the notion of centralized planning and that the role of government ought to be, control of the economy, endorse the economic monetary system, the Federal Reserve, intervention overseas, the drug wars, all these things, they're conditioned to support that. And what I want to do is offer it from a different perspective, and I know you're aware of the perspective that Leonard Read proposed, at the Fee Foundation years ago, and that's called the freedom philosophy. And that is what is truly American. That's what truly conforms with the Constitution. So I want a schooling based on those principles where people can defend these ideas and not be embarrassed. I think one of the reasons we have lost so much over the years has been that libertarians and conservatives and constitutionalists have never been able to show that we care about people, that we are humanitarians. The liberal left say, We're the only ones who care. We're going to take care of everybody, and we're going to redistribute the wealth, and everybody's going to be happy. But now it's failing. But we have to show that there is an option. For me, it's in the freedom movement. And there, if you really care about people, and you care about the dwindling middle class and the enrichment of the 1%, you need to look at the freedom philosophy. And that is my plan to do that in homeschooling.
And you can look at that full interview at cbnnews.com. This past weekend, vandals knocked down a prominent monument of the Ten Commandments facing the U.S. Supreme Court. Paul Strand visited Capitol Hill to check out the damage.
The 850-pound monument was shoved down so no one could any longer read the commandments on it. It sits in front of the Christian ministry Faith in Action. The head of that group says it was reinforced with a steel bar, and it would have taken at least 4 large adults to shove it over. The Reverend Rob Shank says he doesn't believe it was a mere act of vandalism.
Had this been done at a synagogue or a mosque or some other house of worship, there's no question this would be deemed a hate crime.
Shank told CBN News Faith in Action has a special message for the perpetrators at a Tuesday news conference. The Christian ministry will sign a legal document fully forgiving those perpetrators and pledging not to press charges. All it wants in exchange is for those who attack the monument to come have lunch and explain what it is they have against the Ten Commandments. Paul Strand, CBN News, Capitol Hill.
Still to come, the Christian music artist who almost gave up on his dream, how God's divine intervention put him back on the path to his destiny.
Hi, my name is Breda. I'm just your typical 9-year-old. I love singing, dancing, reading, discovering the simple truth. My grandpa says you're never too young or old to learn the value of a dog. He taught me the true value of this paper dog. You see this little gold coin? It says $1 on it. But guess what? That was a long time ago. Today, this gold dollar is worth over 100 paper dollars. This paper dollar is now only worth 1 penny compared to America's former money, the gold dollar. My grandpa says the only money worth saving today is real money, gold or silver coins. He's pretty smart. How our paper dollars lost their value, he says. It's all explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. It's easy and fun to read. If you call the number on the screen, I will send you a copy totally free. Next time, I will explain the simple truth about money.
Help! If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was.
Help!
And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
Christian recording artist Ryan Stevenson is enjoying newfound success, but he almost gave up on his musical dreams after a series of tragic events. That is, until God opened the door to an amazing new season in his life. Recently, CBN News Today co-anchor Charlene Israel spoke with him about it.
First of all, tell us, when did you first dream of becoming a musician?
I just remember from the time I was a little boy, I learned how to play the drums when I was in the 3rd grade. And even all the way back then, I kind of just felt something different in my heart, in my spirit, that was something that I always wanted to do. I just couldn't really put my finger on it, didn't know how to quite explain that, but really young age.
Praise God. Now you have a new single called Holding Nothing Back. Real quickly, tell us about that.
Yeah, again, Holding Nothing Back is just a really simple, honest, vulnerable prayer birthed out of a season of just crazy tragedy. You know, the last couple years has been pretty rough for me. I lost my mom to a really nasty battle of bone cancer. And on the heels of that, you know, my wife and I, we went through the miscarriage of our twins. And then I was dropped from my record label, and I was dropped from my management team, and all at the same, like all this stuff was going down at once. And it just was a point where I felt like I literally couldn't handle one more thing. And it was in that time where I began to almost shake my fist at God and just get angry and embittered with him, and just praying a vulnerable, honest prayer and saying, God, where are you? And it was that still small voice that just came at that instant where I was just crying out and just said, you know what? Am I all that matters to you? You have so much distraction in your life. If everything you have is gone tomorrow when you wake up, am I, your Lord and Savior, enough for you? And it was then when I just literally began to say those words. I'll never forget it. I was in Houston, Texas, sitting on the bay. And I just began to say, Jesus, I don't want anything coming in between you and me. I'm not holding anything back from you. You can have all of me. You can have my stains, my failures, my fears, my insecurities. Just take it. I have to just know that you are good. You are all I have. And that's where holding nothing back came from, right there.
Amen. Now, things did turn around. You're now signed to Goatee Records, which is owned by one of my favorite artists, Toby Mac.
Yeah.
You also co-wrote a song for his latest album. What was that experience like working with him?
For me, ever since I was little, I grew up on a band called DC Talk, which was Toby's first band. And being inspired and ignited by DC Talk and their music, and growing up on Toby. And then, this last year, we got connected through a mutual friend who happened to be a producer for Toby. And I just happened to meet him, and we were working on this song, and my producer showed it to Toby, and he loved it. It's like God just intertwined these rivers at once, and away we went.
Thank you so much for joining us and telling us just a portion of your incredible story, and we wish you all the best. God bless you. Thanks for joining us, Ryan Stevenson.
Thank you so much.
Up next, meet the U.S. Congressman who says U.S. foreign policy in the Mideast is a debacle. Our own Eric Stakelback talks with straight-talking Texan Louis Gomer when we come back.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
An Egyptian court is banning the Muslim Brotherhood. The ruling says the organization can no longer operate. That means the Brotherhood can no longer stage protests. It also orders all of the group's assets to be seized. The court's decision, part of a military-backed government crackdown against supporters of ousted Islamist President Mohamed Morsi. It also helps authorities break down the Brotherhood's leadership and network. The Muslim Brotherhood will have the opportunity to appeal. Congressman Louis Gohmert of Texas is known for speaking out against the Islamist threat. Recently, CBN's Eric Stakelback interviewed Congressman Gohmert on his new show, The Watchman. Eric asked the congressman about Egypt, Syria, and what he calls the debacle of U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East.
It's so great to have you on the show to really get the truth about what's going on right now with our foreign policy, or should I say what's going wrong with our foreign policy right now. You just returned from a trip to the Middle East. You were in Egypt with Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann and a few others. What did you learn in Egypt, Congressman? What's the situation there right now? Is the Muslim Brotherhood, the jihadist threat, is it under control right now? Does the Egyptian military have a handle on it?
Well, they do have a handle on it, but there are and have been and probably will be eruptions by the Muslim Brotherhood using violence in Egypt. And in talking with al-Sisi, I had to ask him about something that I had heard from a former CIA agent who had plenty of amazing contacts, but he said that he was familiar with who was involved, that Morsi had contacted after al-Sisi had said, look, here's the constitutional changes that have to be made where you start acting appropriately within the next 7 days. And instead of doing the appropriate thing, I was told that he contacted somebody about putting a hit out on the head of the military, General al-Sisi. So I asked General al-Sisi, I said, is it true that before Morsi was actually removed, that you had evidence that not only was he not going to act constitutionally, but he was putting out a hit to have you murdered, and he was reluctant and he wouldn't say and beat around the bush. And I said, I'm asking you if you had evidence of that, and he finally said yes. Now that hadn't been in the press anywhere. The Egyptian people are sick of CNN because they keep calling it a coup. They keep talking about the thousands of Muslim brothers that want their government back, and they refuse to talk about the millions and millions of Egyptians who've come forward and said, this is our country. We want a democracy.
You know, Congressman, like you said, look, the Egyptian people have spoken, yet our administration and many in the mainstream press seem to be still backing the Muslim Brotherhood in many ways and condemning the Egyptian military. Some on Capitol Hill have called for a halt to aid to the Egyptian military. What did some of the officials in the Middle East think about that when you were over there?
They said that it is really hurting the United States' reputation within Egypt among the millions and millions and millions of people, far more than allegedly voted for Morsi, because they don't understand, wait a minute, America, you know, this administration had been supporting Morsi and the Muslim Brotherhood, basically threw Mubarak under the bus. They were okay with that, but they don't understand it. And I tell you, one of the most telling banners that we have a blow-up picture of, I've used on the House floor, on the right half, you see the American flag with a green check mark. And on the left half, you see a picture of our president with a red X through it. And the message they keep trying to make clear is, look, we love America. We love Americans loving freedom and peace. But we do not appreciate your president continuing to support the Muslim Brotherhood over the will of the vast majority of Egyptian people.
To me, it's a sad day for America, Congressman, where we are on the side of the bad guys. Congressman, last question. Syria, we've basically farmed out our Syria policy right now to Putin's Russia, but I personally was against any intervention in Syria. I didn't see any strategic interest there. I saw jihadists fighting jihadists. Real quick, what's your take on Syria overall?
Well, that's exactly what it was. You have Shia, Hezbollah, Iran on the Assad side, and then on the other side you have Muslim Brotherhood, you have Al-Qaeda, you have the worst of the worst in the rebels. Now, there were some moderate rebels that perhaps 2 years ago we could have helped, but at this time, weapons are falling into the hands of the radicals. It is a huge mistake.
Congressman Louis Gohmert, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you, and thanks for digging so deep, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, to see full episodes of The Watchmen, simply go to our website, cbnnews.com. We'll be right back.
Grace, music is unpredictable.
I know I have what it takes.
The Dove Foundation raves. Grace Unplugged is remarkable and inspiring.
This is not about the music. It's about everything else that goes with it.
Dad, were you watching me?
A moving and meaningful film
This book, his words shook me. It was like my whole world.
that parents and teens should see together, says Focus on the Family.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna drag her back home?
Yeah, I might. I think maybe you're fighting God. Just stop running.
Grace Unplugged, rated PG, in theaters October 4th. If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
Grace, music is unpredictable.
I know I have what it takes.
The Dove Foundation raves. Grace Unplugged is remarkable and inspiring.
This is not about the music. It's about everything else that goes with it.
Dad, were you watching me?
A moving and meaningful film
This book, his words shook me. It was like my whole world.
that parents and teens should see together, says Focus on the Family.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna drag her back home?
Yeah, I might. I think maybe you're fighting God. Just stop running.
Grace Unplugged, rated PG, in theaters October 4th.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now.
And finally today, citizens of Quevedo, Ecuador are getting used to seeing Christians parading through town. That is right. For the 17th year in a row, they've celebrated a March for Jesus. The annual parade is more than a tradition to these prayer walkers. Even some city officials welcome the event.
The principal objective of the March for Jesus is to rescue Christian values for our society. My opinion of the March for Jesus is that it's a very necessary event in these times, when we're moving so fast and we lose our bearings, which is Jesus, the center of our lives. Because if we do everything for Him, thinking of Him, the world makes sense.
Indeed it does. This year, the crowd included visitors from neighboring countries, such as Colombia. Well, that is going to do it for CBN News Today. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. And tell us what you think about the stories you've seen right here today. You can do that on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Hope you join us again right here next time. Have a terrific Tuesday.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary, or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.